Welcome to day 22 of ways I'm using AI to solve self-storage problems. Let me start today by asking you a couple questions. Do you wake up in the morning and scan through your inbox to see if anything came in overnight that might require your attention? Do you wake up in the morning and look at your calendar and see, are there any important meetings on your schedule for the day that you really don't want to miss? And do you wake up and look in your management software and see how much revenue did I run, or what actions do I need to take for the day? Are there any things that I need to do? Most people start their day by going in and doing these things, but I'm going to show you how to change all of that. With a daily brief from Anthropic, I can now have all that stuff sitting on a report on my phone as soon as I wake up, which saves me a ton of time and makes me so much more efficient. I'll simply start by going into Claude, going to Scheduled, and building a daily brief. If you want to see how I build my entire daily brief to cover all of these things and much more, head over to CCStorage.ai to watch the full tutorial. All right, today we are going to create a daily brief, and we're going to build that out in Claude so we can get a notification in the morning that includes things like our email overview, our calendar overview, and then I'm going to show you how you can customize a skill and include things like your CCStorage connector to be able to have those things show up on your daily brief, and it can give you some things such as, are there any rates that need increased today? Are there any auctions that need scheduled? Any of that stuff. So if I want to have that included on my daily brief, any type of overview of my facility stuff, we'll customize our daily brief with a skill inside Claude. So I'm going to start by going to the Scheduled tab. And then from here, I'm going to simply select Daily Briefing from the options. It's a pre-built prompt. And when I select this Daily Briefing, it's going to open up here and it's going to set up a task that gives me a morning brief each weekday at 8 a.m. It's going to show me what's on my calendar, important unread emails or messages, and anything that needs my attention today. Again, this is a pre-built prompt by Claude, and now we're going to go ahead, once this runs, we are going to make it a little more customized. So we'll go ahead and stop this one, and let's go back over here onto our Schedule tab. And once that's done, you'll see a morning brief option show up in here inside your account that you can then go in and customize. For mine here, I'll click here and I'll click the edit icon in the corner, and I will be able to go in here and customize things like the skill that it's using. By default, it's going to use the morning skill, and I'll show you how you can make a new skill. And then I'm going to set the frequency. I can set it to run weekdays. I can set it to run weekly. If I set it to weekly, I can choose which day and what time of the week that's going to run. But I usually set mine for weekdays, and I set mine for 4 a.m. because, again, I'm using a lot of different connectors, and it takes a while for it to run all of its jobs. And so for the AI to be done by 5 in the morning, I like to start it at 4. It typically takes around 30 to 45 minutes, but I can get the notification that in the morning as soon as I get up. So that's how I have mine set up. If you want to include things like running the morning brief against files that are also saved directly onto your computer, you can move it to your computer, and then when it runs the morning brief, it will pull files from your computer. It can save files to your computer as long as your computer is left on. So there's that option. If this option is not on, it will run in the cloud. So there we'll hit save, and then we'll go over to our customize section now, and we'll look at our skills. So morning is the default skill that it's going to use if you build out your daily brief the way that I just showed you by just simply selecting daily brief. Morning, however, is a default skill that was created by Anthropic. And so when I select this skill, this is the one it wants to use, and then I can click here and hit try in chat. Now, because this was not my skill, this is the only option I have, is to try and chat with it and save that skill by using the chat function. If I, however, save the skill as something different, such as Brief 101 or Morning Ops, which is the one I'm currently using, when I go to that skill, I'll have more options here. So let's go ahead and show you how we did that. I'm going to go ahead and start by going back over here to my morning skill. Again, you can jump to this by going through customize skills and clicking edit in the chat, or you can type in /morning to jump right into the code. I'm going to simply start here with morning, and I'm going to say something like, let's add my CCStorage to the skill. I would like to connect to my CCStorage account and then pull into my brief the Customers that I have that currently have an active lease but are more than 45 days past due. Add them at a section at the bottom of my morning brief that just shows tenants that need an auction scheduled. Then let's also look for any tenants that moved in exactly 6 months ago today, and let's present them in a section that says tenants that are due for a rate increase. Okay, now stop that. Now again, you can go through here, you can have it. Again, I'm just showing you the concept. I can talk into the skill additional context or additional things that it can now learn how to use, and it will make sure that it has the permissions. The other thing that I like to do at the end of my skill is I'm going to do something like this. Also save this skill name as Demo Skill 101. And that way, whenever it's done writing the skill, I'll simply save it as something else, which will give me the ability to, again, have more options for editing this skill, refining this skill in the future, versus only having the edit in chat options. One other thing to note while you're setting this up, you're going to want to make sure your connectors are set up correctly. So whatever skills you're going to invoke, whatever connectors need to be available to those skills, you're going to want to make sure you go to your connectors. And then, for example, if I'm going to be looking at my CCStorage connector, I'm going to select the connector and make sure that all of the permissions are turned on. If anything's turned off, as you can see here in my action catalog, Claude will come back and say, hey, I need permission to invoke this skill or to run this job because I don't have the correct permission set. What that will do is your morning brief will not be completed. You'll be stuck on a notification. Here I have one saved so you can see it. Like this. When I bring this over, you'll get a notification like this that says Claude needs your permission, and then your morning brief will not run because it'll be waiting on the permission set that it needs. So just as a word of caution, make sure that you go through and give Claude the ample permissions to complete the daily brief inside of the connectors that you're going to connect to this skill. Otherwise, that's the notification you will wake up to in the morning instead of the notification with all of your information in it. Once it's done, I'm going to get back this Demo 101 is now packaged. Here is a quick breakdown of how it's going to look. Here is the actual skill file, the way it's set up, what it's going to call on. When I come down here, I'll be able to see that I can save my skill now as Demo 1 or 101. The skill also carries a hard read-only role. It reports the auction list, but it never submits it. Again, that's because in CCStorage, I could actually submit the scheduling of an auction or a rate increase through the software. So now I'll go ahead and, or through Claude for that matter. So now I'll go ahead and hit Save Skill. And then it's going to say down here, save skill, and I can manage it. I'm going to go ahead and go over to the skill this way, then we'll go customize. Now you'll see here Demo 101 was created. All that I've added to this skill so far was, again, by default, it had the calendar in it and it had the email in it. And now it's also going to include the CCStorage connector. Once I select this though, I can go in and I can continue to edit in chat. I can edit with Claude or I can replace and download this skill file. So now what I would do here, I'm going to go ahead and grab this skill name right here. I'm going to go over to my scheduled job. I'm going to go to my morning brief. I'm going to select edit and I'm going to say run Ben's morning brief using the, and instead of the morning skill, I would just add in the Demo 101 skill to these two spots right here at the top. And that is going to then have Claude run this job with the new skill that I've added, and it's going to run this every day at 4 o'clock. So that's how I would go about creating a new custom skill, running it, and then editing my morning brief that was created by default when I selected the daily briefing option. Again, if you want to build out your own morning brief, you can do so. This does save you a little bit of time with one or two simple edits. I can use the pre-built daily brief, customize the skill, save as a new skill, and then update the morning brief. And then I can make sure I get exactly the data that I want. Once that's done running, I'll be able to see something like this in the morning. Your morning ops brief is ready. Once I select that, it would pull me in here. It would give me a high-level overview. I could click on that. I could run through all the things that came through on my brief. So that way I can make sure I'm getting the exact data on my morning brief that helps me make better decisions on